Okay, namaste. Yeah, people have asked me about my life story. What's my background? You know, who am I to be speaking about any of these subjects? Okay, so here's my personal story. Okay. My Kundalini awakening happened at the age of 18. Okay, now I'm 68. And you could say now my only subject is now truth. And this is my personal story. Okay, I was born in the US and have been a searcher for truth from a very young age. Okay, at the age of 18, I joined an esoteric Christian order. During the evening rituals, while I was kneeling at the altar, Father Blyton laid hands on my head, and at that moment a gold bolt of light went through my body, and I can tell you it was that wide. I can still feel it. It was just absolutely gold light with sparkles, and it just went through my form. Okay. It was like lightning hit. Absolute gold. And I entered a state of samadhi. Now, at the time, I had no idea what a samadhi was, okay? But this samadhi lasted a period of 3 days. The samadhi was consisting of the feeling of being connected to all of creation, yet separate as a witness and not involved, okay? If I would have crossed the street and died at that moment, I could have cared less. I could have got hit by a car. I could, you were just swimming at that point, just floating and, in the samadhi. Because it was the first time I had experienced a samadhi, so it's very overwhelming at first. Okay. So along with it came the seeing of energy, auras surrounding people. There was a purple aura around the cross on the altar and a gold aura around this cross that was on the wall. Father Blyton said I just entered the first stage of enlightenment. Okay, now I would hesitate to say that now. It was definitely not enlightenment. Okay, that was just the start of awakening. Kundalini, it awoken the Kundalini then, and it was just really the heavy start of my journey in very much earnest. Okay. So upon leaving the order, things subsided for a number of years. After leaving the order, I stayed with the Krishna consciousness movement for about a year, and during this time I learned much about bhakti. One day when Srila Prabhupada was coming in from his morning walk, I was standing with some flower malas and waiting for darshan. And while walking by, his eyes fell on me and he motioned me to follow him. Okay, this was highly unusual, as usually only initiate devotees of high standing were afforded private interviews with him, and I never took initiation, but I was sincere and indeed led towards the bhakti inclinations. So when we arrived within his private quarters, he asked me to place the malas on his Radha and Krishna deities, which I did. And with this, he looked at me point blank and said, within this lifetime, you will reach realization. Okay. So that was, again, only confirming. And it was apparent that there was a knowing from him that my path was not to stay with Krishna consciousness movement. Okay. So but still he wanted to share this with me to spur me on, and I put my hands together in namaste and thanked him, and I left the order. Okay, I left there. My time had come to its conclusion, and I was happy for what I had learned there, but there were things there that I saw which I couldn't, I wouldn't deal with, So I left. So from the Krishna consciousness movement, the interim years were spent in internal contemplations and in search and understanding of various religious texts. Much wisdom came as my prayer was always to know the truth. My singular prayer is for truth above all things. Now, during that time, I read the Bible, went through it 2, 3, 4 times, and a number of other various things, Upanishads, Vedas, many other texts of many other religious persuasions, Native American, just a lot of different things, and was always praying and contemplating and surrendering into that. Okay. Then at the time of my latter 20s, I decided to sit and meditate. And sitting on the floor, suddenly there was a vibration at the end of the tailbone, the Muladhara chakra. Then suddenly extreme heat went right up the spine. And going to bed that evening, I could not sleep. I was married at the time, and I complained to my husband that the birds are making so much noise, I can't sleep. It sounded as if there were 100 in the tree all chirping at once. And I was informed, hey, it's the middle of the night, and there are no birds. Okay. Well, thus started the many long years of pain and various numerous Kundalini created manifestations. This lasted until completion in the year 1999. During the time of manifestations, it felt as if I would spontaneously combust. The heat was so intense. Okay? And the nervous system felt as if it was short-circuiting everywhere at once. There were spontaneous mudras, the hand gestures and the kriyas that took place, the yoga moves that happened. Energy moved through the body uncontrolled. At one time, it felt as if ice-cold water were poured into the heart area. There were dreams of fires and snakes and buildings imploding. There were so many dreams of flying and diving deep into crystal waters. Okay? And these things happened for many months and many years. And the mental modifications included extreme depression, then feeling the pain of the world, not only your own pain, but the pain of the world. Then it was this as absolutely one dead. These were all lasting 1 to 2 years in duration each. Cities came, such as the ability to feel whatever was happening in another person's body and the ability to heal pain. This process continued to unfold until coming to India and being pulled into a nirvikalpa samadhi. Beyond subject and object merging within the self. From that point, the old self with its fears died. And what emerged was liberation. Knowing what is the essence of all life, a merging of Shakti into Shiva had occurred. So now I'm a speaker of truth and willing to help others through their Kundalini awakening experience. So here is a list of happenings, some of the ones that happened during the process. There are many more, but seeing of lights, internal and external, extreme heat up the spine, nervous system extremely sensitive as if short-circuiting, natural kriyas, vibrations of body, body movements, energy, patterned movements, spontaneous hand mudras, various sounds heard internally, all the mudras and the nod. There are so many levels and different things that will take place in the nod, the sounds. They will change as one goes through the whole system. Okay. Knowledge on various subjects would be known immediately in the whole. Cities of various natures came and went. Expanded consciousness. It ended when the self was reached while in nirvikalpa samadhi, or that which I term the formless constant, when subject and object end in absolute quiet mind. So now there's this resting in Anand and the peace which passes understanding. That stillness remains in the mind. No thought, a resting silence. True moon. The manifestations of Kundalini that were long and difficult ended when the Nirvikalpa was entered into, and the Nirvikalpa Samadhi remained effortless. Okay? And Turiyatita took place as one relaxed and finally adjusted into this. Okay? So the false ideations of the limited ego self, or that which seeks to control its limitations, ended. Again, let me repeat that. The false ideations of the limited ego self, aka that which seeks to control its limitations, ended. Or that which sees itself as the form, which is within life and death, that was transcended, and the experience of Kundalini ended within self-inquiry. It took everything to its natural end, which is simply the beginning. Okay? This is also backed up by Ramana Maharishi's findings, what he speaks of. In the end, all relative knowledge that had been acquired, all the mysteries and the ceremonies, all the love and devotion, all the sacrifice and suffering, and everything that had been held was released. The powers, the ideations, the conditionings, all was surrendered to the divine, and in one brief moment that was ever eternal, existence was unalterably changed. I no longer saw the transient as separate from the eternal. No longer see the outer show as a me and a thee. The me in the end, that personality which moves, does not exist. It doesn't matter. It is simply the ideations of a limited mind created by the encapsulation of the formless within a form. Let me read that again. That ego identification is simply the ideations of a limited mind created by the encapsulation of the formless within a form. But the spirit is ever free of form. There is no death. That is and always has been the one eternal nature. We are simply sparks within that divine being. There is no you and I separate. There is simply that being, empty in nature, containing all things yet holding nothing. That spark of life is ever untouched by any of the mental modifications or ideations of form. So life is now lived in the eternal now. So thank you for allowing me to share this story of the unfolding and the happenings that took place along the way. Along the way, you gather and collect so many things, and you think you've got this wisdom and this knowledge and that knowledge. And in realization, it's stripped bare immediately. There's nothing to know. That's what that means. There's nothing to know. There's nothing to get. One is that eternal is, that divine spark of life, that energetic is, that 0 point balance. One is that. Okay? That which you cling to in mental modifications of an obstruction in a form is illusion. It is what causes your ills and your illusions. Okay? And you are not that. Okay? So again, when realization takes place, all of that is gone in an instant. Boom, finished, gone, done. Like popping a balloon. It's that quick. Of course, people say, that realization is instant. Well, it is instantaneous. But it's also not, because it takes years and years of practice and surrender to get to that moment of instant enlightenment. Okay. So again, it is and it's not. Okay. And there are no words that can express what it is, because all words come from duality. All words create some kind of a picture in your mind, and this is beyond form, prior to form. Has nothing to do with form and separation. Therefore, there are no words that one can adequately use that a mundane mind of thought and ideation of constructed images and boxes can understand. Okay? You can't understand it. Just like you cannot adequately give somebody in words what a color is. When you see it, you immediately feel it, sense it, know it, but try to explain it to somebody that has no sight. Okay? It's like that. More real than anything on this earth plane that you can feel. It has more substance yet than this, more reality than this, yet it's not a form. Okay? I don't care what God image you want to sit there and relate to. It's not a God image. Okay? It is that energetic is that runs like a thread through all of existence. No matter what the God image is, it's the same eternal essence. Okay? Doesn't mean that it's not of value for people doing bhakti to have some image. Okay? There's something more concrete for them to be able to surrender into. Now, this is one thing about Prabhupada. The one thing that he said that always stuck with me, that he knew more than what he was saying, was mankind can only be attached to something. So let them be attached to Krishna. That's what he would say. In other words, he wasn't giving the whole. He gave part of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? There is another deeper part. The last part that Krishna was saying to his longtime devotee, which speaks about Advaita. Goes beyond the form to the formless. Okay? But of course, in Krishna consciousness, you don't go that far. You only go as far as the form of Krishna. He doesn't get into that deeper teaching. Okay? Because he thought most mankind is not ready for it. The only thing they're ready for is to be attached to something. So let them be attached to the beautiful form of Krishna. Okay? Let them dance with that. Let them play with that. Let them, and it will move them forward. But he never gave the other teachings, the deeper teachings. Okay. So I hope this has explained a few things. Those that want to tune into my channel, and again, they think, oh, you're just somebody, you're just a seeker, and, why should we listen to a thing you have to say? Okay. Who are you to speak out against Nityananda? Who are you to say anything about anything? I'm one that's done the path. Since I was born, from a young age, I started my search, and I was diligent. Okay? I wasn't out partying. I wasn't out doing all that drama. My focus was one focus. to get to realization, to continue to surrender, to know truth above all things. I wanted to know what is God and what is not. I wanted that truth, no matter what it cost me. And trust me, it cost a lot. I lost everything I owned 2-3 times in life and started again from nothing, because to know the truth. I gave up everything I had to know the truth. Numerous times. Okay? Do I regret any of it? No. Were all my teachers wonderful? No. Like I said, there were many things I saw in places, but I always honored what I got from where I was. Okay? I've never said bad things about any of my teachers, ever. Okay? And there were places I learned this is not the way to go. This is not, Yes, there were some insights, some truths there, but it wasn't fully. Okay? Doesn't mean you go off and you dishonor what you have gotten, because that is a very foolish thing to do. If you dishonor teachers that you've had, the universe is going to close the doors on you, because you're not owed anything. Okay? Let me make this clear. You're not owed anything. So respect what you get where you get it. Okay? And keep your heart open for more. And continue to surrender. Okay? Rather than getting in this ego drama of it's owed to me, and this is not, that's not the way. Mm-mm. One gets it by grace, by surrendering. Okay? And it's not always going to be fun. Like I said, in the midst of my journey, there were hell realms for years that one processes through. If you think it was easy, depression so bad I couldn't move. Depression so bad I could not move. I had no energy. And then the pain of the world, not only my own pain, the pain of the world, you have no idea. You can't even take the next breath. You can't understand until you have tasted that. This is beyond the dark night of the soul. When you feel the pain of the world and you're going forward to be a teacher, these are some of the things you will pass through. Literally feeling the pain of the world is so excruciating, you cannot imagine what it feels like. And then you pray for that to be taken away. God, I can't take another second, please take it away. And he takes it away, and then you're in a death experience. There's nothing, you feel nothing, like a zombie. And you go, my God, this is even worse than the pain. Then you're praying, when will it transition? When will I transcend? When will things rise? When will, So be careful what you ask for. So at a very young age, I asked I can't say stupidly, out of ignorance, I asked to walk the path of Christ. And that's what you get. You get the temptations. You feel like the scourgings. You feel like the, really. And that's surrender. It feels like you are coming to a cross and you are being absolutely crucified and you have to surrender. Okay? It's not a joke. It's not a game. Okay? It's not a philosophical stance. It's not an intellectualization. These are direct experiences that one goes through. Okay? There were so many things that come up. One night I got up in the middle of the night and I went out and the whole room was silver. I walked in. I'm looking and I said, oh my God, the room is silver. And I saw these beings coming with the third eye. They were riding on this, like a thing. And I saw on the side of it the Argonaut. I go, what is that? You have very, very unusual experiences. The third eye opens and all of these things happen. You have very unusual experiences that take place. You can see gods, you can see goddesses, you can see realms, you can see lands. And all of these things have to be bypassed. You will have that infinite evil come at some point in time. And when that comes, I was surprised my hair didn't turn white. I was literally in the middle of the floor like this. Just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Terrified. Terrified. Until I learned you sit and you give it no energy. And say, come, do your worst. And you give it no energy and it dissipates because there is nothing to feed on. Okay? These are lessons one has to learn along the way. Okay? And they are not easy. None of them. If you are walking a path of a tantric type nature and you have all of these experiences, these things coming, again, these are not fantasies. These are not dreams at night. These are not, intellectualized ideations, stories that one's read and talks about. These are actual experiences. When I had the actual experience of former lifetime, of engaging in a Cho ceremony as a Buddhist, one of my Buddhist lives, I saw this, the demons come, and in that lifetime I lost my mind. I went crazy. I was not ready for it. I thought I was ready for it. And this lifetime, when I had that experience, I knew nothing about a Cho ceremony. I knew nothing consciously about any of that. And when it arose and I was living it again, you see these demons coming and feeding on your flesh, and they're tearing your flesh. Okay? And after this was done, this vision, which was real at the time, this vision that took place, I went to a library and I saw it's called the Chode. I was like, oh my God. So if there is something, some people ask me, oh, read my life, what was I in my past life? If it's something you need to know, it will come up. Otherwise, forget about it. You're here and now. Okay? That was something that came up that at that lifetime I wasn't ready for. I didn't finish that. I wasn't completed in that. So therefore, it came up. You pick up where you left off in your journey. You continue forward if you are in that journey of wanting realization more than your next breath. It's not something that one picks up, oh, I want realization. This is fun and games. It's something I can do as a sideline thing. No. If you're going to get to realization, it has to be full on, 100%, 24/7. Full attention. Full discipline, and nobody can do it for you. It's a solitary path, the mystic's path, and it's done wherever you're at. Okay? So again, many things will come up from past lifetimes. Okay? I've had past lifetimes as Native Americans, as monks, as so many different things. So many different ideations and things that one passed through. Okay. So this is what it takes. Okay. Again, it's not some idea I've read about something and I just don't like what they're saying. When I speak and I challenge something, it's because of the direct experience. So when somebody is speaking utter bullshit, you know it's utter bullshit. When they're saying something that sounds so good to ego, and you don't have discrimination, it's easy to be pulled in and taken into it. And yes, some things can happen because you have a fantasy about it, and some of that fantasy can create these things that feel real, but it's still under duality and illusion. It is still Maya. Okay? You're remaining under Maya. Okay? And you can get further and further and further out into Maya, into some collected story. Okay? And you're not going to get to realization that way until one stops and is that stillness and starts confronting these things, watching how mind comes and goes, where it comes to, where it goes to, netty, netty, not this, not this, not this. Rather than gathering and collecting and gathering and collecting, one is starting to dispel it, dispel it, dispel it, dispel it, dispel it, until one gets back to that which is unchanging. So as long as you're still looking to gather and collect, you have a long way to go. Okay? You have to go through the process where you've gone through all those and city powers and stuff, and you see that none of them mean anything. They're all duality. They still all contain suffering. Until you come to that point where you see those still contain suffering, you will not let go of them to move forward. Okay? It takes seeing that for what it is, then being willing to drop it and begin that process of netty, netty. Not this, not this, not this, not this. Okay? So I hope that's cleared the air in some way, shape, or form. Namaste. Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy your journeys.